Hey, welcome you guys. Welcome to GC 365. It is day 138. We're moving right along. I'm Pastor Kyle. I'm the associate pastor here at Gold Creek Woodinville. I'm at the Woodinville campus. And then I brought my buddy Keith.
Hey guys.
Say hi. So this is Keith Larkin. He's one of our high schoolers, but his family's super involved. He's super involved. I brought him for a specific reason today, just because a little bit of what we're talking about, if you're caught up, what we've been talking about is here in First Samuel is David and him being on the run, right? And I don't feel like I would do very well on the run. Like I love being outside, right? I love the wilderness, and that's why I got Keith. Keith is outside more than he is inside, like generally speaking. So he's an outdoorsman. I'm an outdoorsman. We when we get together and we talk outside things, right? You never hear us talking about video games or things like that. It's not what we're into. We're into being outside. But that being said, I'm really good at being outside for like a couple days, right? I'm really good at that. But like when it comes to, I feel like I would do okay. I don't know. I'm sure I would lose weight while I'm out there and then slowly get better at it. Like Keith's like physically built for me. Like if you told Keith like you need to go on the run, like you're on the lam now, right? You need to live in the woods for a year. He's like ready day one for it. I would spend that first couple months getting in shape. Yeah. If I survive, then I would keep going. So we both like being outside, and this whole time, David, he's totally on the run. He's like I always wonder, is he fearing for his life? Yeah. You know, I mean, there's got to be a big part of it. In the story, you know, he kind of gets some help from some guys. Mm-hmm. Saul, who's the one trying to kill him, runs into these guys. Why'd you tell him? Why'd you help him out? Well, he's a godly man, right? And these priests, they did the right thing.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Right? Even though, they were kind of they were defying, they were doing at the time what was being like defiant of the government.
Yeah.
Right? But also knowing that Saul wasn't so with it, but also Saul at the same time still is the anointed king. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, oh, do you listen to the anointed king, right? Do you listen to all this stuff? So, but they helped him out because he was a godly man. Mm-hmm. And then what did Saul do after that?
Well, Saul was after the priests helped David, Saul commanded his men to kill the priests. And his men were like, no, we can't do that. The priests didn't do anything wrong. And then Saul commanded the guy who betrayed David, and he commanded him to kill a priest, and then he ended up doing that. But Saul's men really defied Saul, which was a huge statement from them. Yeah. Basically declaring that they are not following the king in that order.
Yeah, and they're losing trust in him, losing faith in him, right? Mm-hmm. And this is somebody that David was in the king's court, right? Yeah. He was with it and following him, but it kind of shows leadership isn't permanent, right? This kid, if you do a bad job, right, people are gonna stop listening to you. And Saul did a bad job, and so it shows how much of a how godly David was. He was godly enough that other people noticed him and were like, no, we aren't gonna hurt him because we know how godly he is. Yeah. Right? He lived his life in that way. But still, all this time, he's on the run. And he was on the run with 600 guys.
Yeah.
And so, I like hiking. I like being outside. When you go hiking, what's an average number of people that you bring?
5, 6 people.
Yeah, 5. You don't bring a whole crew. Mm-hmm. We've done a couple, back when I was in youth ministry, we would take a small bus, a dart bus. We're 15. Wow, that's a lot, right? And I remember also too at the time, if we did that, I'm the pastor, so I'm responsible for keeping these 14 kids alive. And so, and that was stressful. Stop hanging off that tree. Don't do just the whole time saying, don't do that. And what's it like to try to keep 600 kids alive, right? I'm sure these are all grown men, right? But the other thing I was thinking is, how hard is it to hide 600 people?
Yeah. And they're in these caves and mountains, and the terrain's really rough. Mm-hmm. But 600 people is a very large
I
group.
feel like they would leave a trail.
Yeah, I know.
like you can kind of see if you see somebody walk through the grass, you can kind of see, oh, that's the direction
Yeah.
where they went. If 600
It's like a
dudes,
stampede.
yeah, like that. I mean, that's an army.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like I feel like it'd be fairly easy to follow them, but also I'm like so used to the like infrastructure that we have now and like the size of our world now. If I were to go hide with 600 dudes, I don't think there's a place I could go
Yeah.
like that. I could actually do it. But like, I'm sure back then, I don't know, they're also like riding horses and camels, right?
Yeah.
It takes a little while to get to get places. But how often is there just like 600 guys all moving in one direction? But somehow they did it. And maybe this is God protecting them or something too. Or maybe they're just like the best at hide and seek. like the absolute best at hide and seek that you could take 600 dudes and keep them all alive. So yeah, Old Testament was like so fun, so fulfilling. I love this book, the Old Testament, because it is so story driven, right? But man, you see, I mean, there's only so many good kings in the Old Testament. A lot of them are really bad. And David had his shortcomings, but he's good. And like, so actually following his story and seeing that he was a godly man from the beginning, that people recognized him as that, so much so that they would defy a king. Like that speaks volumes like of David's personality and of his character. New Testament, I'm excited because my last GC 365, we were still in Luke, and John is my absolute favorite gospel. So I'm excited I actually get to talk about it this time, just because John's gospel is so different than the other three. And even like in the Bible college that I went to, you could take a gospel class, but it was only Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And then John was its whole other class just because it was so different.
Yeah.
And the other three are so similar and John is so different. And I feel like there's something to be said about John being Jesus's buddy, right? John was the closest to Jesus, but it's also funny because like John wrote the book of John. So meaning John's the one who wrote
the one
I'm Jesus' best friend. like how true is it?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, we're best buds. We hang out all the time, right? Like John's writing the one who Jesus loved. It's the same thing when Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, and Moses at one point wrote Moses, who was the most humble man on earth, right? Like, so John's just the same. But John, he was sharing as Jesus kind of, it was a lot of parable, right? This was a lot of red letter text in the reading today. And what was cool about it is Jesus, about halfway through, he starts using words that were like Old Testament words, right? Old Testament thoughts. Him saying, hey, I am the good shepherd, right? That's straight out of Psalms, right? That's like stuff that people know and understand. And then something like I've said in every single one of these things, there's something that stands out to me that I'm like, that I either like, maybe I totally caught this last year and was like, oh, that I never saw that before. I'm gonna remember that. And then here I am a year later, like, who knows? Like next year will be better because I'll be able to actually like notice what I noticed from these videos. But Jesus says, the Father loves me because I sacrificed my life so I may take it back again. He's predicting his death right there. And like, I feel like I miss all the different times that Jesus does that, except for like kind of right before, his last hours. And then I realized like the disciples aren't that surprised about this happening. It's because, man, Jesus was saying, this is what's going to happen. Yeah. So why is the world so shocked? Why are people so confused? But then the very part after that, it says how the people were divided. So even with Jesus being clear, right, as clear as he can be about what's going to happen, he's saying, I sacrificed my life so I can take it back again. I mean, he's saying everything that's going to happen. And then it happens, and people still choose not to follow him. It just gets me. Like, it just confuses me. It almost hurts me. Like, I want, man, like, hey, like, the evidence is right. Like, I feel like, especially back then, all the evidence was right there. Yeah. everything was pointing to Jesus. And nowadays, evidence for us looks different.
Mhm.
You know, rather than having heard it from Jesus' mouth, right? Than actually like maybe seeing him hang on the cross or seeing him after he rose again. You know, now the evidence is different. Now the evidence is more like how we feel God in our heart and how the Holy Spirit works on us. And praying for miracles and seeing them, having an active prayer life and seeing what God does with it, and it always takes a step of faith, you know, before you see this evidence of God. The evidence was so different back then, but that's the challenge to us today, is to like find our evidence. You know, people can be like, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, let's believe it, and then you'll see it. And if you believe in Jesus, and you put your faith and your trust in him, you'll see it. I absolutely guarantee that. So, hey, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Keep up on your reading. If you miss days, who cares? Just jump right back in. Keith, thanks for joining me, man. We'll see you guys tomorrow.